You know what I really want to do? I really want to in some of these dynasty leagues. I want to trade for Cooper Cup for guys that are like don't have good teams, but I don't want to trade for Cooper Cup and then have his value tank in the offseason because I'd want to just flip him again. But I really want to win a championship and make money. So it's like the ultimate dilemma of like rental or not.
Hey, rentals aren't always bad.
I mean, if I win, if I lose, then I just because I mean to get Cooper Cup from a team, I could try and offer. I don't know if this guy listens to our podcast. I could try and send him something like Cortland Sutton in a first round pick, but he's not going to take that. He should take that because he's going to be drafting like third overall. Cup's going to be 28. Sutton's like 25. So he gets a younger receiver and a first round pick for a guy that's having a career year, who is not going to have that same career year next year.
Yeah, he's not going to. He can only go down. He's not going to improve on this year.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when we see guys hit like like when running backs hit like 20 plus touchdowns. It's like, all right, regression. It's happening. No matter what, it's happening. Like there's nobody that's immune to it. What's going on, guys? Welcome on back to the Second and Short podcast. Here are the cheap seats, where this is going to be a dynasty-focused episode, not redraft. We're in like the final week of regular season for most redraft leagues. Playoffs are starting. We can tell you to pick up some guys, and you might do it, or they might not be. If you're going to be in the playoffs, you're going to be in the playoffs. There's no move that you're going to make this week that is going to take your team that's in 10th place and put you in 6th or 4th. It's not going to happen. Not to be a downer, but that's just the truth. But on this episode, we're going to cover some thoughts on a huge dilemma that went down in one of my leagues over on Sleeper app, where there's some co-commissioners. One made a big, bold move, and the other one says, why don't you lay his dirt out there and see what your podcast host has to say about it? So we're gonna put him on blast potentially and see what we have to say. And then we're going to talk about trade deadlines. And this is for dynasty football and if they should exist at all. And then we're going to give some bold predictions for week 14. I am your host, Tyler Lauder, joined with Jason over here, our fantasy and dynasty expert, regional expert in his region. He's got that locked down over there in his scouting department.
Yeah. And as we get started, go ahead.
I know one more thing. I'll say before we dive into our episode, I just kind of wanted to introduce you into this. You know how ESPN, I think Scott Van Pelt does it. He goes over bad beats, over things where all these guys got this, hey, they're up by 3 points. And then also like a technical foul happens and there's a free throw and now they lose the beat and everything. You got a guy that's had some bad beats and is now forever punished.
Yes. So I'm gonna give it a little shout out to in the most positive, negative, backhanded way I possibly can, because my boy Tommy had some bad luck the last 2 weeks. He's lost both weeks and missed the playoffs by a combined point. Yes, I said point, like 2.6 in 2 weeks. One was like a 0.1 he lost, and then he missed the playoffs this past week by 0.16. And this is where fractional points come in, and it's why I like fractional points. Mm-hmm. And we're waiting, and he's got his fingers crossed. So when he's listening to this, there may be a stat correction. There may be a stat correction. But imagine losing back-to-back weeks by less than 1 yard on both instances. So, man, I mean, I feel for you, Tommy. I promise you that I would give you a shout out. But, man, that's some bad beats.
If anybody wants to know what seasonal depression is like, join a fantasy football league, like a redraft league, and then have that happen where like the smallest of things happens and you miss the playoffs because X, Y, and Z didn't get 2 more yards. And that's why you missed the playoffs. Like, that's it.
Well, and the bad part about it is the David Montgomery touchdown that they took back. He owned David Montgomery.
There you go. But that's another thing. Or maybe he had a receiver on one of their catches. Instead of fighting for that extra yards like Steve Smith, just kind of walked out of bounds. You know, it was like, I'm not going to try and get that 3 yards. We'll go second and third. It'll be okay. Which second and short is great, but not for this guy's fantasy thing. So, hey, we feel for you. Go and win your toilet bowl. Good luck. But let's talk about some issues that are related to me. Let's have my therapy session and let's have you give your take on things that have happened in one of my leagues. So league I'm in, real quick thing, joined the league, team was bad, tons of trades happened, guy kind of just demolished it. I'm in it for free. I have somebody that played, soccer with growing up and said he'd want to be in this league. And I said, it's a 10-man league. And I'm like, it's not really normal my style. Like I like bigger leagues. That's just how I've always been. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'll pay for it. And he goes, it's free. And I said, yeah, I'm in. It didn't even, that's all I had to give. You're free. I'm in, because there's nothing better than rebuilding on house money, because you can just make deals and it doesn't matter. It's stress-free. So let's paint the picture for you. We have guys that join this league and they are clearly only needed for fucking redraft. Dynasty is not for them. Calling them out because they're already quitting the league after 1 year because there's too much trash talk in the league and they can't stand it, which is the craziest thing. First take on this before I send it over to you. Trash talk is okay. As long as you don't get personal, who gives a shit? That's kind of the whole point of this. That's the whole point of competitions. If I ever went to a game and like nobody was allowed to talk, I'd be like, this is boring. I don't care if there's slam dunks or, 50-yard touchdowns. If nobody's taunting, talking smack, celebrating, get me out of there. I don't want a part of it. So these guys are leaving. They're quitting because it's the words are too hard for them and they're sensitive to it. So one guy traded away future first-round picks. Commissioner didn't collect money because the bylaws were getting written at the time of trades. Trade goes through. A couple weeks go by. Says he's going to quit at the end of the season. I called him out and said, well, you better pay for those extra years. And he says, why would I do that? He didn't collect it when he did. And then he fails to set his lineup 2 times. And then on the 3rd time, the commissioner just boots him and gives him his money back, which I don't agree with. But it's kind of torn the league. There are these 3 people in the league that are also very sensitive and want to remove the commissioner for being a dictator. And then there are other people, me included, who see the value in what he did, not necessarily liking how he did it, but I understand it. So give me your thoughts. You're in this league. You're an innocent bystander. Somebody in our league just got booted. What happens? What do you take on this?
First and foremost, if you're in a fantasy football league, trash talking is like is ingrained in the bylaw. That's one of the unspoken rules. You're going to trash talk. Me and you do a podcast together, and me and you give each other hell. We give a lot of our league.
You do it more to me.
Well, because I beat you. I gave you your first loss in the league, but I still hang my hat on that. But trash talk's a given. I mean, that's what makes fantasy football. I was in a league that had something similar. I got booted because I talked trash, and they was very sensitive. They said that I went too hard and that I hurt feelings, and I started laughing at them, and I said a few choice words and was like, okay, fine, whatever. I got my money back. It was that. Then to go on to the whole trading thing. We've talked about this league on a few podcasts before.
Yes.
In our archives. And we kind of touched on this, not dove as deep into it previously, but we're going to dive deeper this time. If you trade future picks, you should be paying for those. That way, if you destroy a team, whoever's coming in is behind the 8 ball. If you've ran that team into the ground, you should be they should be playing with house money, such as you are in this league. And it's also a good thing. I guess it's goodwill to your other league mates, and it's my don't be a dick rule, because everybody's investing their money, their time away from their family. Because me and you are 2 prime examples. We go hard at fantasy football.
Yes,
I'm in 26 leagues. I spend about $2,000 a year on fantasy football.
You got to spend money to make money.
And that's it helped pay for my wedding.
There you go.
And ever since then, I've never had a complaint from the wife.
Sold my soul to the devil.
Right. It's so much that she even plays fantasy football now on daily drafts. But setting a lineup, which we've touched on this, we've had people. I've done it.
I just did
inadvertently.
I just left DeAndre Swift on accident because I was busy throughout the whole week.
Yeah, inadvertently, I've done it. And we joke around. We have a couple of league mates that we give hell about it that listen to the podcast. If it's done accidentally, once I let it slide. Two, we're going to call it. You should be called out, and it justify your actions. The third time, yeah, straight up gone from the league, no questions asked, but you don't get your money back. You paid for that year. You're paid once week one locks in, you're locked into that commitment. So that's where I'm kind of torn on this, and your commissioner should never get the money back. Now, my question is,
before you jump on in, I do believe it is a rookie mistake. He is a new commissioner. I believe it's the second year running a dynasty league, and stuff is kind of getting in the fold of things. And I'm always like texting him and kind of giving him my opinion on things and what I would do. And I think as everything kind of happens, he's adapting and learning really well and everything. Whap. And we're back. Quick cut. Dog barking really loud at nothing. But I do think he's one of these commissioners that I feel like he is adapting really well and he's learning. But I do think it's a mistake on giving the money back. 100%.
So my next question is, why is people thinking he's a dictator?
Because he reminded this guy to set his lineup, and the guy didn't respond. And here's the thing: it's Sleeper app. When you get tagged, it's like getting a text message. Your phone goes off.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you always got to check your phone, but this owner that he booted would leave trades on the table for 5-6 days, wouldn't respond to people. You'd tag him, doesn't respond for 3 days. Nothing. Hardly active. Well, he got on a couple hours later, about 4:00 before the Thursday night game, and fixed his lineup. But he had like 4 guys that were out and that were ruled out. And so people are saying he's being a dictator because he just made a decision. He didn't review it with the league. The league didn't have bylaws set in place, which is a fault of both the commissioner and the league as a whole, because if you're playing in a league, you should want to set bylaws down. That way, you know what you can and can't do and what others can and can't do. And he just kind of made the decision to boot him, and everybody's kind of mad at it. And now they want to remove him as commissioner. Some of them do, but I think it's just because it was their friend that got booted.
Well, okay. And that's a slippery slope. So you just outed yourself as you're the shadow commissioner. So you're really the dictator and being the dick.
No, I'm more so. I'm more so kind of trying to, like, I've been a commissioner for like 9 years in one of my league. That's like a big league, and I've dealt with some like fucking assholes and some guys that are just always on my case and making the league worse for others. And so I kind of just tell them like, hey man, you know what? And I told him this today. I said, you know, if you want to do something like this, direct message the person. If they don't respond, you have receipts. And I said, and then just be consistent with your calls is all. If you're going to make calls on this, if I fuck up 3 weeks in a row, you got to boot me. You can't pick and choose. I'm just trying to help guide because I have experience in something, but it's not my league. I'm not dictating anything at all. I'm not a co-commissioner. I'm just an asshole with a microphone and an opinion. And I just like to just say it all the time. That's all.
Well, you might not be co-commissioner, but you're co-conspirator. We understand. You've let it out here. But yeah, I mean, but no, I mean, it's good to have people that have been in that situation that can give. You saying he's a fairly new commissioner,
Mm-hmm.
So having people that have the experience that can give input is a good thing, and I think that's good for any league. Because sometimes this is where you run into problems. You get into a friends league,
mm-hmm.
and you don't want to be a dick to your friend because you don't want fantasy football to ruin real life, and sometimes that happens.
Yeah, but if it does, then are they really friends?
Well, I'm saying, a lot of people take that serious. I mean,
Way too serious.
Cam Newton can hurt a lot of feelings.
Couldn't hurt mine. There's no
Well,
way. There's no way he could hurt my feelings. He'd be like, you know what? Your podcast sucks. And I'd be like, dude, thank you for talking to me. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day.
Well, there's some Bucks fans out there that
Yeah.
talking about Cam Newton really hurts their feelings.
Yeah.
But anyway,
talk about you, Adam.
Yeah. Hey, Adam, how you doing? But anyway, it's that slippery slope. But this is why I like having, if you're going to have a friends league, everybody's got to be assholes to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. And you got to have that precedent set. You got to get bylaws in place and everything. But
let me be clear about this as well.
I don't think he done the wrong thing. I think he did the right thing.
And I agree. Now let me be clear on this. This commissioner is an asshole. He knows he's an asshole. He called himself an asshole. He is not afraid to push that envelope. So when all these other owners in the league get mad at him for acting the way that he already always acts, that's where I'm kind of like, guys, all you're doing is bitching now. You're just bitching now. And we're trying to hold him to a standard that he doesn't hold himself to in real life, but we're wanting him to change for us for fantasy football. Here's my thing. Anybody that's in a league with me, I will give my opinion on every situation. You made a trade today. You made a trade today, but that same guy offered me a trade and it was like 3 times the value you had to give. And I called him out in the chat and I was like, why did you just do a trade? But you wanted to bend me over and not even buy me dinner. Like, I'm going to throw my opinion on everything. If somebody was like, hey, Tyler,
do you ever give your opinion? God,
that's my point though. But if somebody turned around and were like, hey, can you stop talking in this group chat forever because you talk too much? I'd be like, eat my ass. No way. Like, here's some shorts. Take them. I'm going to be myself. You know who I am when you invited me to this league. I'm going to be myself. Now, I'm not going to be disrespectful personally. I got to cover this up and everything, but I'm going to give my opinion on everything because for some reason in this head up here, I think it matters.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and anybody that listens to this, or any of our league mates that are in that, me and you and like 3 other keep that chat alive. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you have like maybe 5 out of 12 people chiming in and having honest discussions, keeping, posting stuff and everything. And that, because when I first came in that league, that league chat
dead,
stagnant,
ghost.
Yes. Yeah. And then for some reason they gave us the idea that me and you are 2 assholes that would be really good at a podcast. And here we are.
Here's what I want you to do right now. You're not wrong on all that. I want you to hear right now, because what we're doing is we're talking about something that we can relate to, something that I can relate to. We're talking about my situation, our situation. For anybody listening that is not in our leagues, let's give them some advice on this situation and let's rule on how, and we're going to talk about this in the off season on how to build a perfect league and what we believe, but let's give your take on how other people should handle commissioners that are like this and if they should be okay with this or like what they could do to help make the league better and support their commissioner. Like, let's bring it to everybody.
The league, your commissioner runs your league. I mean, unless he's doing like out and out, like inconsistency on the rulings, that's the only time you should remove a commissioner and bring it up.
Or
if he's just being a dick, you can't fault somebody being a dick. I mean, that's life. But if he's doing everything fair, if he's treating everybody fairly, and his rulings are fairly, you said they might just be learning the ropes. This might be their first or second league that they're running. They still might not grasp. They might be a redraft person that's, decided to do a dynasty, and they're learning how the inner workings of dynasty. Open conversations is key. And a lot of times, if you're having a conversation, make it kind of known in the group chat, and then if there's something additional, speak about it in a DM. Because you want everything on the up and up. You don't want everybody thinking, you don't want to pull a tie and think, be running the league from the shadows. And you want to, because you don't want that mistrust to creep in and think that a commissioner is giving a certain person favoritism because they're helping out. Now, another way is, something we've talked about in the past, a checks and balance.
Yeah. A support group, essentially.
Yeah. Basically kind of like a council.
Like a Knights of the Round Table type thing for King Arthur.
Yeah. So like you pick two people that you feel is trustworthy in the league, and their rulings. And if there's something that's iffy, you have a 3-person vote. There's no ties. It's either going to pass. It's either going to pass or it's going to fail. There can't be any ties. That's my recommendation. Also, if you do have a commissioner that does not have bylaws for your league, address that immediately off season. Day one of your off season
should be voting day.
You should be writing those bylaws, because bylaws are important. If you're playing for money, a lot of people tend to want to try to manipulate rules, but if you have it in black and white and have the league mates, everything's voted on, everything's kosher in the league, you don't have people manipulating the system, you don't have people manipulating the commissioner, and you don't have people finding loopholes. You will find loopholes.
Loopholes are good. I'm going to say this real quick. I think loopholes are messy, but the best thing for a league, if your league is active and okay, now we got to fix it.
Right. Because it addresses issues. I mean,
yes,
you'll never have an ironclad thing.
No,
you're going to have somebody that finds loopholes, and every loophole you find, that's a loophole to close.
Yep.
And get the league to vote on and how to handle the situation. So as far as going with commissioner, if you join a league, respect your commissioner, unless there is a out and out collusion, cheating, favoritism. You respect your commissioner. You agreed to be a part of that league under their rules.
And the biggest thing I think here too, if you don't like a commissioner and the league is the way it's being run, leave the league. Get the fuck out. Get out of there. Even if you're the best team, if you're a contending playoff team, win your money on your way out the door.
And then bounce.
But you can always leave. The best thing about fantasy football is these are open relationships. You open the door to get inside, that door does not close. You walk out it when you want to walk out of it. Even if you pay future money, you leave when you want to leave. You make all these decisions. That's my key advice there. To bring this all around, I do think if your league does not have league bylaws, I think saying, hey guys, we need to fix this, address this, and you get it down, put it on a Google Sheets, Google Docs, Microsoft Word, Excel spreadsheet, whatever, get it documented, communicate. And then the day one of when your league reopens, that should be poll day or discussion day. Hey, let's discuss these rules. Let's get some opinions. All right, cool. Here's what we got down. Vote on A or B. Winner is our new bylaw for this. I believe day 1 through day 10 should all be about building the walls of your fantasy league and making them as compact and fixing all the cracks in them. So that's my situation. Let's take you have on that commissioner. And that's kind of how we brought it back to you guys on what you guys can do to address your commissioners in this situation. And it's funny. I play soccer with this guy still. And everything, but I can say it. Sometimes he's an asshole to these guys, and sometimes they're an asshole back to him. And sometimes you got to mute the chat. But ultimately, as long as you have rules in place, it does not matter what rulings get made, as long as everybody follows them. Now, talking about rules, talking about being confined, talking about being you're grounded. You're no longer allowed to do anything. That's what a trade deadline feels like. It feels like you're getting told you're not allowed to play with your friends. You can't go outside. Why can't I go outside? Because I said so. Well, it doesn't make any sense. Outside's right there. My friends are right there. I want to go out there. And of course, I'm talking about the trade deadline. In dynasty leagues, should trade deadlines even exist? We're trading away future picks. We're playing with players that maybe will benefit us in 2022. why do trade deadlines exist? What do you think on this?
Yeah, and we talked about this off air. I used to be a predominant person for trade deadlines, but I've softened on that because it's a dynasty league. Your players are interchangeable. If you're trading away future picks, why do you have a trade deadline? And that's a question I've asked myself. So no, trade deadline should not exist.
Yeah, and this is going to be like this segment's going to be very exciting, I guess, because I feel like we have the exact same opinion on this, that trade deadline should not exist. And I feel like what we're going to do here is we're going to give you guys good reasons why they should not exist, but we must argue the other side. We must give good reasons why they should. All right, so let's do this in the most logical way to kind of balance this back out. 5 minutes, rapid fire. Let's go over pros and cons of what a trade deadline should do and what we think the purpose of it is. And when we see this trade deadline here, we're going to see if it's actually beneficial to have it or not. So give me a pro of having a trade deadline. Let's argue your point. What is a positive to having that trade deadline?
Having a trade deadline, I mean, in a dynasty league, you can ensure the median of the league, I guess is a good way to put it, where you don't have somebody that's, making a playoff run that's, just supercharging one team, their buddy's team, and trying to cover it up as well. I'm trading Christian McCaffrey for a first and a second next year, because you do have those collusion things that's going to split the money. But I mean, but you set teams up to win down the road. So, I mean, the only pro that I have is, the balance. It helps the balance of the league right before playoffs, and you don't super stack a team going into the next season.
So like late season control over the league, essentially. Now a pro that I think that it does is that potentially it can boost activity in your league. We see more fire sales around this time of get rid of everything I can on my roster, see what I can get. It can boost activity as in, hey guys, we can only trade now. And I think, that's a positive thing. But really these things can be done at any time during the season. And really, if an owner's a trader, they're going to trade no matter what. So let's talk about a con of a trade deadline. What is a con of having one?
Because it's a dynasty league. It's year round. Your new season starts the day after the Super Bowl is when your new season should start. You should get that little break. Your day after Super Bowl, your new season should be talked about running and everything. So it's a year-round league. So why not have year-round trading? That's the con I have, because if you're able to trade future first round picks, future picks and everything, then you should have that around. So you limit building a team and taking away one of the key cornerstone aspects of having a dynasty league.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. It's dynasty league should be fluid. There should be constant movement in and out no matter what, because here's my thing that I think it is. What if I'm the number one seed, which I am in a league that I lost Christian McCaffrey, I'm down Chase Edmonds, and I just lost Dalvin Cook. All in the same league, I'm the number one seed. Well, I'm probably going to get bounced after my bye week. I'm probably not going to win. So why not let me, instead of having a trade line, flush these players out, try and bring back guys in to help me win? Maybe I have to trade away a Dalvin Cook for a David Montgomery. And even though normally that's not a straight across trade, the guy that's got David Montgomery is last in the league. He doesn't need him. I need him right now. That might not be a great example, but you know what I'm trying to say here. It limits movement. It puts a wall up. It just tells half the league, you're not in the playoff race. You're done. Just set your lineup and go. That's what I feel like it is. It kills league activity as well by having trade deadlines.
Yeah, and you talked about seasonal depression earlier. That will put you in seasonal pressure. And once that team starts losing, with a trade deadline looming, that team's not going to care anymore. They're not going to set lineups. They're not going to set their best lineups. They're not going to play spoiler. They're not going to try to rebuild that team. Because if you have a cap and a wall that you're inching closer to, why put in the effort?
Well, in this situation, let's flip the script on me. Let's say I'm a rebuilding team. I know my purpose. I know I'm rebuilding. I don't give a shit about the playoffs. I don't care if I win any games. I don't care. And I just saw you're a playoff team right there. You just lost Keenan Allen to COVID. You got week 1 playoffs this week. You shouldn't, but you do for some reason. And he's down and you need a starting receiver. You ain't got nobody else to play. You don't have to try and throw in your bench, your scrubs. But I'm sitting over here with an asset that really would benefit you. We should be able to make that deal. Hey, do you actually want to win your championship, Jason? I mean, you're going to lose Keenan Allen. Do you really want to get bounced? How about I give you X, Y, Z or whatever, and you give me that first round pick? It win-win because you want to get that money. I want to get rid of these guys. And that's just how it works. I think having it open, and I think the more I talk about it, and I feel like the more other people talk about it, the more they'll agree to. Redraft, keep it in, leave it. Dynasty, open the floodgates. Simple as that. Let's get to our last thing because we got to get going. Well, you got to get going. You got some big important things. Do you have a bold prediction for week 14 for me?
Yeah, I mean, my bold prediction this week is Mitchell is going to be a top 10 running back in San Francisco this week.
Isn't he hurt?
Is he?
I heard that only Hasty was the only running back that came out healthy.
Well, it won't be the first time that I've talked about a injured player in a bold prediction, and I've rolled with it. Let me see. I'm not seeing that he's hurt. I'm not seeing that he's hurt. Bleacher Report ain't reporting he's hurt, but we'll go with my backup. We'll go with backup being, which will be.
I mean, here's what you could say. You could just say whoever the starting running back for the 49ers this week is going to light it up. Just say that.
I'll go even one better. I'm going to say Adrian Peterson will be a top 10 running back this week. We'll use that as my bold.
That is way too bold. That is way too bold. I'm telling you.
You told me I had to start getting spicy. You told me I had to start getting more spicy with these bold predictions.
I did, but I didn't know that you were going to burn a house down with it. That was insane. Well, but you know what? If it happens, then we'll just ride,
if it happens, I can go on TikTok and scream like Stephen A. Smith about being right.
You can just be like all these other guys that are just like, I'm the greatest curator in the world because I predicted Jonathan Taylor to be number 1 this week. Here's my bold prediction, and it's not as hot. That's why I didn't kind of like you went so hot and everything, but all 3 of the Dallas Cowboys wide receivers, we're talking Lamb, Cooper, and Gallup, are combined going to finish with 60 fantasy points as a whole. That means I'm not saying one guy's going to have a good day. I'm saying each will average 20 fantasy points this week. I believe the Dallas Cowboys are getting back on track a little bit more and more every game, and I think they're going to light it up eventually. I think this is the week. I believe they're going up against Washington, and I think it's just going to be Dak Prescott 400 yards. Gallup's going to get 2 touchdowns. Amari Cooper is going to get the 12 receptions, and we're going to see Lamb with like 120 yards. And it's just everybody's going to pop off.
Well, and I'm going to give you a bonus prediction that the Buffalo Bills media person, will no longer have a job next week.
Why is that?
Did you not see the press conference from last night?
Oh, I did, and I agree with Sean McDermott. I do. I agree with him. You can't give Belichick all that credit.
No. Where the reporter asked, I can't remember who it was, if they was embarrassed about getting, and like it was 2 players. I can't remember.
Was it Hyde? It was like Micah Hyde.
I think it might have been, and they got into it with the reporter and walked off.
Yeah, that's I don't know if that's bold. Yeah, I feel like you pissed off the wrong people. You're gonna be gone, but that's gonna do it here for us on our week 14, episode 21 edition of the Cheap Seats Dynasty. Insight and quick recap and everything. Tell somebody that's in your league that's had some bad beats. It's okay. It'll get better, even if it won't, because they need it. It's holiday season. Give them a hug, maybe. And then trade deadline. Do you even need it? Should you have it? Discuss it with your
Yes.
league. Maybe get rid of it. Number 3, is your commissioner Hitler? And realistically, just kind of set bylaws and make sure everybody has, this agreement on what is going on. So when your commissioner makes a ruling, you're okay with it. And that's how it should be. And then also, our bowl predictions for this week. If you're watching on YouTube right now, drop your bowl prediction down below. Comment, leave a like, follow us on all of our social media platforms. And that's it. And we will see you guys next week when I'm in the fantasy playoffs of the league Jason and I share, and he might be. We don't know yet. We got to wait. So
That'll give us content.
he's got to hope and pray. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and good luck in the final week of your league.